Life of lines. The bright lights glared down on the man, his mind racing with anticipation and fervor. The carcass hitting the stainless steel table caused an echo through the large tin garage, drowning out the hum of the deep freeze at the end of the table, although briefly, just enough for Orland to collect himself. Preparation of the mind was key in this moment. The sound of knives being drawn lingered as the man stood above his prey, the ticking replaying in his head like a symphony of purpose. His cuts were precise and measured. The years he had spent learning this craft showed well in his work. When the target was cleaned, he reached into his back pocket and withdrew the baggie. Opening it to place the chalk in his hand, he outlined the corpse, ingraining it into the table and his memory. He then began to separate the meat. Each had a specific place. The freezer was set for this occasion. The clock on the wall ticked consistently, adding to the orchestra of sounds parading the walls of the garage. The kill had been larger than expected. Even trying his best, the freezer was full. With a sigh, he resigned to the kitchen, checking the freezer. Bingo, just enough room. He brought the rest of the packages into the kitchen and sat back with relief. The hardest part was now done. All he needed was to clean it up. He looked under the sink to find the cleaning supplies were lacking for the job. He would barely have enough for his clothes, but the garage was another story. He ran his hand along the outline of chalk around the items in the cupboard. He once again drew the baggie from his back pocket and pulled the chalk from it. He began to chalk over the old labels, refreshing them for the new product to be placed. The smell coming from this cupboard was indignant. The irritation grew in him as he glanced down upon the list in his hand in the cupboard before him. The chalk had worn due to a spill of some kind. Must have been a soup can that was dented and leaked. The frail outline lingered with a fading pulse. He placed the chalk down as he reached into the pocket of his shirt and withdrew his pen. He flipped the notepad a page over and began to jot down a note about cleaning this section of the cupboard. In his frazzled state, he cannot recall what cupboards he had labeled. He would recheck them all, one by one, making sure he had the list completed. Cleaned himself up to be presentable. Taking the list off the kitchen table, he went around the cupboards of the kitchen, searching each one of them for that empty outline, the ripe message of its lost mistress. The final cupboard, the one in the back of the kitchen that held the special ingredients, had a new outline traced, not for the store, but for the kill. An homage to the spirit of the dead that sustains life. He twitched as he saw the naked outlines beside his newly fastened kill. The ticking of the clock on the wall pressed his mind deeper into thought, letting the notions not usually taken seriously and place them at the forefront of expectation. He had to leave these thoughts, for he had a charge in the garage to delete. He hummed to himself to distract the thoughts as he grabbed the keys off the mantel and opened the door. Grocery store, the same stale light as his garage, the endless persistence, devoid almost of shadow, demeaning the essence of oneself in its presence, shrinking you into the ground as you peel yourself away from the spectacles placed before you. They are only here to entice you. The strong-willed can refrain. He walked through the store, gathering the materials he would need for the night's cleanse. He was placing the last of his items into the cart as his final prey was caught. The sight beheld him, and he abandoned his list, his shopping. All had fallen from his mind. Only this one singular item mattered. He would seek it out by all means. The heavens could strike him down, but he swore he would rise to claim this next pledge. The doors to the market closed behind him as he raised his hood and walked into the alley. The man coming around the corner would have no idea. A swift punch to the face. The man didn't go down like the others. He pulled a knife and lunged. Raising a hand to block the knife, it slid across his skin, splitting it open like the way he had earlier that day. With conviction, he swung and clubbed the man until he no longer twitched. Orland's mind spun with adrenaline. He awaited that moment, the perfectly timed exhaust. The sound rang in his ears. The loosened muscles of the body, the last breath leaving their lungs, the pressure pressing down. The fart became a shart as the smell welled and he pulled away. It mixed with the blood and piss on the lost cause's clothes. With a heavy breath, he lifted the corpse onto his back, limping to his car, parked near the back of the alley. The scuffle had been silent, the middle of the night. with no one in sight. Such crimes deserve to see the light. Only my light can illuminate the soul, he said to himself as he placed his prey into the back of his pickup truck. This would not bode well, however, for he had no room to dispose of this, and he had no more supplies to rid himself of the evidence. He would go home, shower, and clean his clothes. Tomorrow, when he went during the day to shop, not in the middle of the night, his impulses could not quite get the best of him during the day.